How did it all come together, book to script to movie? Can we talk a little bit about the birth of it all?
Sure. I was working with Steven Spielberg on American Sniper. He had come on to direct that, and he had a few notes. So we were working through those notes. He was going to eventually drop off of that, and Clint would pick it up. But in that time we were working together, he handed me this book, and he said, I want to do more. I want to do more for our veterans. Check out this book. And he said, oh, by the way, Daniel Day-Lewis is attached to it. I was like, okay. So I read the book, and there was a story about Adam that we tell, and then it followed Adam off to therapy, in which, that was the part that we thought we would focus on. But got into it and quickly discovered that the story of Adam and him stepping off that plane into the afterwar was the story that best suited us and that needed to be told.
Adam, this must be a wild ride for you, from seeing your life portrayed on screen to being interviewed about it. How's that all been going for you?
It's a great experience. I'm taking every bit of this in, and it's just been so positive. Everybody's been great. It's a whirlwind. It's tough. It's stressful, but I know in the end, it's get this out there and get people to see it and get people talking. So,
a lot of I've read things about people have said that you shouldn't say to military members thank you for your service, because it's sort of a murky thing as far as like you weren't there, you don't understand. And I think as a regular civilian, that's a hard thing to process, because when I see someone in uniform, that's the first thing I want to say. So what is the right thing to say?
welcome home. I mean, if you know that they're a veteran, just open up the conversation. Just, hey, did you serve? Were you Army, Navy, Marine? And that'll open that door. And then, you know, did you deploy? Yeah, welcome home. And that's it. Because thank you for your service is the start and the end of a conversation in itself. So it doesn't bother us when someone says it, but it just makes it awkward because we really don't know what to say back, because we really feel like we don't deserve any thanks. I mean, we don't want thanks or recognition. So it kind of puts that person in an awkward position.
And our point and purpose of making the movie was to explain that and sort of explain what these guys go through. And we think, you know, if you want to see what we're thanking them for, go see this movie. And then you recognize, like, why that's challenging for them to respond to that.
Sure. Miles, how has this changed your perspective as far as, like, putting a face on PTSD? How is that, from doing this and seeing it and meeting so many people who have served, how has that changed your perspective?
Yeah, I mean, I've certainly had my fair share of experience with, you know, mental health, people in my life. So I knew how complicated that is, kind of in the larger scheme of things. I've experienced trauma in my own life. I felt like I had a kind of a foundation to go from, but specifically with our movie, yeah, dealing with veterans. I mean, I've always I thought it was just so crazy how these guys can be trained to go overseas and to deploy and to combat in war and to be doing these things that if you were ever to even do a fraction of those in civilian life, you'd be locked up for life. I mean, we're trying to win a war. We're training these guys to just, it's black and white and no gray area, and you get an order and that's what you're doing. And if you're vulnerable or if you're weak-minded or if you're not charging forward, you're dead. I think to then, for those guys who just get off a plane and it's like, okay, now take your kid to soccer, okay, you know, drive, you know, whatever, do this or do that, go to the concert, whatever it is. I thought that transition, especially at a young age, I thought that would be extremely, extremely difficult. And yeah, I mean, some of the numbers are daunting, right? We have like 500,000. Is that from this war?
I felt that.
2.5 million.
2.5 million that have served in
No, but about
OEF.
500,000 coming back with PTS and TBI.
I felt that
Yeah.
deeply, and that's why I saw an article in Life Zet, which is a conservative-leaning website, and it says that this movie is one of the top conservative movies to see this fall. Do you guys agree with that?
I don't agree that it has to be
What did they
conservative or
say?
liberal.
Top conservative?
Yes, there's a story about the top movies this fall that are conservative. And I found
Was
that,
it a conservative writing the art or writing? The
yes, it's a Laura Ingraham website.
Okay. Yeah.
Look, I think that's fantastic. I think that's fantastic. A conservative audience is embracing the movie. I hope the liberal audience embraces the movie too. I hope every audience embraces the movie. This isn't about conservative or liberal. This is about our veterans. You know, and we ask these young guys, they're 18, 19 years old. These are our civic assets, and we're asking them, we train them up to do a job that's very intense, and then we send them overseas. And we're, as a country, we get into a lot of conflicts, and we're good at getting into conflicts, but we're not so good at bringing these guys home.
That's right, and a lot of that has to do with, I felt watching it with healthcare, because that's what we're in such desperate need of. On a lighter note, what was it like meeting Bruce Springsteen?
Adam's
Adam's the only one who got to
Adam went out and
record
recorded
with him, and then,
It's
geez.
no offense, but it's the only time I've been starstruck throughout this whole process.
I mean, I'm not offended. I feel like Jason is, but
might be a
I'm
little,
not
yeah.
offended in the slightest.
No, he was my my childhood guy. When Mom would tell me stories when Born in the USA would come on MTV. I'd come flying out of nowhere in my diaper and just stand in front of the TV and sing with him at the top of my lungs. And yeah, who doesn't love Bruce?
Do you think music is I've learned a lot about songwriting for soldiers, which is a great organization where people write songs in order
That's cool.
Yeah.
was music a big part of therapy for you, or was it?
Music, music. Yeah, music is so therapy for me. I love to sing. Mostly in the shower in my truck when I'm driving around hunting and fishing, but
On airplanes.
On airplanes when I haven't listened to music in 5 days, I put my headphones in and I forget I'm screaming at the top of my lungs, Rocket Man. So.
Let's talk about filming in Georgia. I know this is, Georgia is such a big, we like to call ourselves Yollywood.
That's a good one.
Let's talk about.
That's the first time I've heard that.
You
So
haven't?
I don't know if you guys actually do that. Or you're just trying to
Just get it going.
get it going. A
Is
little
that
bit.
the first? No,
First
it's
time.
it's like
Yeah.
a thing here.
I filmed like 6 or 7 movies here. That is the first time I've.
Yollywood, you had
Yeah.
Wow. Well, I
Yeah.
feel like I've given you a gift.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you.
Accept it.
Much
We
appreciated.
loved it.
I
We
want a
had
T-shirt
great
with that
time.
on it.
Yollywood.
Yollywood.
Welcome to Yollywood.
Yeah,
Atlanta's my new
Yollywood.
favorite big city.
Oh,
I
how
love
so?
Atlanta. The people, the vibe, everybody just, everybody's.
Chill.
It feels like I'm in North Dakota, but I'm in this huge city with all this great stuff. The people, everybody just gets along. You're out at these places, establishments at night, and just everybody's just
Establishments at night.
intermingling.
What do you call those establishments?
Venues. The Claremont.
Oh, did you go to the Claremont? Oh,
This
let's
is
talk about
this
that.
is a recurring thing now.
Well, now, because the Claremont closed and now it's reopened.
What?
But I know you guys are leaving
Right.
town tonight.
Well, we shot in the Claremont, actually, not in the lounge itself, but upstairs in the old hotel before they redid it.
Is that right?
Yeah, we got the scene in the stairwell with Miles carrying someone is shot in the Claremont.
That is an interesting fact. Is that a known fact, or are we just revealing this now?
We're just revealing it now, exclusive to you.
Breaking news.
Breaking
So,
news.
and how did Amy Schumer get involved in the project? Because she's unrecognizable in the film, and I had heard that she donated her salary to the cause. So, can we talk a little bit about that?
Yeah, Amy reached out to us. She was a fan of the movie and got a hold of the script, and we were surprised because it's a smaller part and it's a very dramatic part that hinges the sort of beginning and end of the movie. But she was all about it, and she came in and she was very serious. She dyed her hair. She totally went into character. She spent a ton of time with the character that she plays, and then she donated all her salary to TAPS, which is a veteran service organization.
And finally, I think an important thing is, why do you think the role in the book was based on a journalist who went and covered your story and other stories? So why do you think journalism is important in telling these stories? And
Journalism is so important. I mean, we need that media to get in there and keep everybody honest. We need to know what the wars we're fighting are like. We need to know what it's like on the ground coming home. David dedicated his life to this. David couldn't get life insurance, to go to war, and it held him up for a period of time because everybody knew how dangerous that job was. And so, from David Finkel to all our Magnum photographers who are out there documenting this, God bless them, because those guys are keeping it real for all of us and showing us what it's like out there.
Well, the movie is Thank You for Your Service, and I really appreciate the opportunity to talk to you all. Thank you guys so much.
Thank you.